There is something I have to tell you before we go anywhere else today, and I'm not going to build to it slowly. I'm not going to warm you up with pleasantries or ease you into it gradually, because what I'm feeling around your energy right now doesn't have that kind of patience. It's too immediate, too specific, too undeniable to approach carefully. Something broke open in you recently, and I mean that in the best possible way. In the way that things break open when they've been held too tightly for too long, and the pressure finally becomes bigger than the container. In the way that transformation happens not gradually, not neatly, not on a schedule anyone planned, but all at once. In a single moment that you probably didn't recognize as the moment until you were already on the other side of it. You are on the other side of something, Virgo. And the person standing on this side of it, the person you are right now watching this in this specific moment, is not the same person who entered that chapter. Not even close. And I don't think you've fully let yourself see that yet. I don't think you've stood still long enough to look back at the distance you've actually covered and feel the full weight of what it means that you're here, that you made it here, that you are still standing, still open, still fully yourself, which is the most remarkable part of all of this after everything that chapter asked you to survive. So before we go anywhere else, before we touch anything else, I need you to take one breath and let that land. You made it through. Before we go deeper, if something in you just exhaled when I said that, if something released slightly in your chest at those four words, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word free in the comments right now, because that is what Spirit keeps repeating over your energy. Not almost free, not getting there, free. And the difference between those things is everything. Let's go into the reading. The first thing I'm seeing what you actually survived. I want to be specific about what I'm feeling here because vague language would be a disservice to what you actually went through. And Spirit is not being vague with me. Spirit is being very, very precise. There was a situation in your life, and for most of you watching this, it involved a specific person, though for some of you, it was a dynamic, an environment, a circumstance that operated the same way a person can operate that had a particular quality to it, a quality I want to name carefully. It made you doubt your own perception, not dramatically, not all at once, in a way that would have been easy to identify and resist gradually, incrementally, in the specific way that happens when you are repeatedly presented with a version of reality that doesn't match what you actually experienced, what you actually felt, what you actually know to be true. And the repetition is consistent enough and confident enough that you begin to wonder if maybe your version is the one that's wrong. That is a particular kind of erosion, and it is one of the most exhausting things a human being can experience because it doesn't just affect your relationship with another person or a situation, it affects your relationship with yourself, with your own mind, with your own knowing, with the fundamental trust that what you feel and perceive and experience is real and valid and worth taking seriously. And here is what I need you to understand about what you survived. You didn't just survive a difficult situation, you survived a sustained assault on your own clarity, on your own certainty, on your own sense of what was real. And you came out the other side still knowing, still feeling, Still trusting yourself enough to finally act on what you knew, even when acting on it was the scariest thing available to you. Even when the version of you that had absorbed so much doubt wondered if you were making the right call. You made the right call. Spirit is showing me that moment, the moment you finally chose yourself, and what I see around it is not drama, not fireworks, not a sudden burst of certainty that made the decision easy. I see a quiet moment, a private moment. A moment that might not have looked significant from the outside, but that internally had the quality of something fundamental shifting, of a door closing that needed to close, of something that had been slowly poisoning your sense of yourself finally being removed from your system. That moment was braver than you gave yourself credit for. And everything that has opened since, every bit of lightness, every moment of clarity, every experience of feeling like yourself again in a way that you had almost forgotten was possible, it traces directly back to that quiet, private, enormously courageous decision. The second thing I'm seeing what came back. Now I want to talk about what returned, what emerged on the other side of the breaking free. Because this is the part of your story that I don't think you fully witnessed yet, the full inventory of what came back to you when you stopped pouring your energy into something that was consuming it without returning anything real. The first thing that came back was your voice. Not your literal voice, though some of you will know exactly what I mean when I say that even that felt different, felt fuller, felt more like yours again after you left. Your inner voice, the one that knows, the one that has always known, that was telling you the truth long before you felt safe enough to act on it. That voice got quiet during that chapter. It had to. It was being consistently overridden, consistently second guessed, consistently told that its readings of situations were wrong, its feelings were disproportionate, its instincts were unreliable. That voice is back fully. And what I'm seeing is that it is sharper now than it was before that chapter began, because it went through the specific refinement that happens when something is tested repeatedly and survives. When you know because you lived it what it feels like when you ignore your own knowing and what the cost of that ignoring is, you will not pay that cost again. Not because you're closed, because you're clear. The second thing that came back was your energy. I want you to think about how much of yourself you were spending daily, constantly, in ways you probably didn't fully account for because it became the background radiation of your existence, just managing that situation, just staying on alert, just tracking the inconsistencies, processing the confusion, recovering from the moments that depleted you, bracing for the next one. That expenditure was enormous. It was continuous. And it was invisible in the way that chronic expenditure becomes invisible. You stopped noticing how tired you were because tired had become your baseline. Feel the difference now. Feel what it is to move through a day without that constant drain, without the background hum of tension that you'd stopped hearing because it had been present for so long. That energy is yours again, all of it. And Spirit is showing me that you haven't yet fully directed it toward what it's actually meant for because part of you is still in recovery mode, still recalibrating, still getting used to the spaciousness of not being in survival mode, but that redirection is coming. And when it arrives, it is going to produce something remarkable. The third thing that came back, and this is the one that moves me most, is your belief in yourself. Not confidence in the performed sense, not the kind that needs to be maintained through external validation or visible success or other people's approval, the quieter and more foundational kind. The kind that simply knows without needing to prove it, without needing to argue for it, without needing anyone else to confirm it, that you are enough, that your perceptions are valid, that your feelings are real, that your sense of what you deserve is not too much or too demanding or unrealistic, that you are, in the most fundamental sense, someone whose inner life can be trusted. That belief was under siege for a long time. It's back now, and it is stronger for having been tested, because you know something now that you can only know by having gone through it. You know that your sense of self can survive pressure, that it can be pushed and diminished and questioned, and it still comes back, still finds its way back to the truth of who you are, still refuses, in the deepest layer, to be permanently overwritten. That is not a small thing to know about yourself. The third thing, I'm seeing what other people are noticing. Here is something I don't think you're fully aware of yet. Something that is happening in the perceptions and conversations of the people around you that you haven't had complete visibility into. People are noticing, not in a dramatic, everyone is talking about you sense, in the quieter and more significant sense of people who know you, people who have been in your orbit through the last stretch and the current one, noticing a difference in you that they may not be able to fully articulate, but that they absolutely feel. There's a quality to you right now that wasn't present before, a settledness, a groundedness, the specific quality of someone who has come through something real and emerged from it more fully themselves rather than less. People feel that, even when they can't name it. Even when all they know is that being around you feels different, cleaner somehow, more real, more present than it did before. And for some specific people in your life, people who witnessed what you went through, who watched you navigate that chapter and wondered sometimes how you were still standing there, is something close to awe in how they're looking at you right now. Not the kind of awe that creates distance, the kind that deepens respect, the kind that comes from watching someone go through fire and walk out the other side still themselves. For one person in particular, and I'm feeling this very strongly, so I want to name it, what they are witnessing in you right now is making them reckon with something in themselves. Your freedom, your emergence, your visible return to your own power is holding up a mirror that they are finding both inspiring and uncomfortable. Inspiring because what you've done is genuinely remarkable. Uncomfortable because it asks them to look honestly at what they're still tolerating in their own life that you found the courage to release. You don't have to do anything with that. You don't have to perform your freedom for anyone or make it about teaching anyone anything. Simply living it is enough. Simply being fully, visibly, undeniably yourself again is doing more for the people around you than you realize. The fourth thing, I'm seeing what is opening now. Because breaking free was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of the next chapter. And I want to show you what that chapter looks like from where Spirit is showing it to me. The image I keep seeing is of a window, not a door, a window. And the distinction matters. A door is something you walk through into a new space. A window is something that opens and lets in what was always outside the air, the light, the sound of the world moving but couldn't reach you when it was closed. Your life is that window right now, and what is coming through it is not one thing. It is everything that couldn't reach you while that situation was consuming the space. Connection is coming through, real connection, the kind that doesn't require you to manage yourself carefully before it, to edit your reactions, to monitor your own responses for things that might be used against you later. The kind where you can simply be who you are and have that be enough, more than enough, for the person across from you. That kind of connection has been absent from your experience for longer than it should have been. It is moving towards you now. Opportunity is coming through in the practical, material, daily life sense. The energy you have reclaimed is going to start producing results in the external world in ways that are going to feel almost startlingly aligned. Things are going to start working in the way that things work when you are fully present in your own life rather than spending most of yourself managing a situation that was never going to give back what you put in. And joy is coming through, real joy, not the performed kind, not the I am choosing to be positive kind. The spontaneous, unexpected, arrives without warning kind that you had forgotten was available to you. The kind that shows up in ordinary moments, a conversation, a morning, a small thing going exactly right, and reminds you what it feels like to be genuinely, unguardedly happy. That joy is not far away. It is already at the window. What I need you to carry forward, I want to leave you with something specific, something you can hold on to as what I've described begins to unfold in your actual life. Do not go back. I don't mean that as a warning about a specific person or situation necessarily. I mean it as a statement about energy, about the gravitational pull that familiar things exert, even when familiar things were not good for you. There will be moments, quiet ones, unexpected ones, when something pulls at you in the direction of what was, when the comfort of the known, even the painful known, calls to you more loudly than the uncertainty of the new. In those moments, remember this feeling. The feeling you have right now watching this, hearing these words land in the specific places where they're landing, the feeling of being seen accurately, of having your experience named, of being told by something that has no reason to flatter you that what you did was brave and that what is coming is real. That feeling is the truth of where you are. Hold on to it when other things pull, and receive what's coming fully, without the protective distance you learned to keep, because that distance kept you safe for a while. You don't need it the same way anymore. What's coming doesn't require you to armor yourself against it. What's coming is what happens when you finally stop spending your power on what was draining it and let it flow toward what was always meant to receive it. You broke free, Virgo. And what I see on this side of that freedom, what is already moving toward you, already taking shape, already closer than you know, is everything the other side was preventing you from having. It was worth it. Every hard moment of it was worth it. And you are about to find out exactly how worth it was. Come back and tell me in the comments what shifted for you while you were watching. Tell me what you recognized. Tell me what broke open. Because your words, your truth are what this work is for. Subscribe to stay in the energy, and I will see you when the next thing moves.